awesome. Rick Astley.
I love Rick Astley. For those of you guys, do you remember the Rick Rowland days? I'm going to put my glass on for a second so I know where I'm going. Rick Astley, awesome, right?
Yeah.
So the best, we've talked about it before, but you can't say it enough. The absolute best April Fool's Day joke was when YouTube, everything you hit on YouTube for a video that day was Rick Astley's song, and it was called Rick Rolling. It stayed around forever.
So much fun.
So much fun. I wish they would do it again just because it was that much fun. But yeah, it was awesome.
Well, and I have to say that was the song in high school that my friend would play. And because at that time I didn't like Rick Astley. I was more into like different types of music. Like I was into like New Order and the Smiths and sort of all of that era. And she loved Rick Astley. So we made a deal. Whoever was driving, their song of choice. Makes sense? And every time I think we just irritated each other because I would play my music and then she would always put on that song.
Yeah.
So anytime she was driving, I heard Rick Astley on the way to high school.
And there's a group called, I think it's called Choir or something like that in Toronto. I think there's groups other places too. Anyways, they sing, they get together. This was before COVID. They'd get together and they would pick a song and they would all be singing it in this environment. And I thought that was cool. And they did a pop-up and Rick Astley showed up and sang with them.
Yes, I remember that.
So that was cool. Anyway, it's Hot Topics. Welcome. It's Monday.
It is Monday. How was your weekend?
It was okay. I worked all weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes you work all weekend and some people go, oh, you should take it easy. I get it. But some weeks it's just weekend work. That's it. How about you?
Sometimes it's nice. So Saturday, I did nothing. Like literally sat on my couch. I wasn't feeling the best. Sat on my couch and watched TV all day. Like,
nice.
I got on my computer. I edited a couple of videos because that's something I can do easily.
Yeah.
So I did do a little bit of work just while sitting on my couch watching TV. But yesterday I worked. And you know what? I think what I like about working on the weekend, I've got a song in my head.
Everybody's working for the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Sorry. Go ahead.
There's no interruptions. Right. So during the week, emails come through, calls come through, different things come through. But on a Sunday, you can actually kind of sit and get that bulk of stuff done. So I find that easier.
Yeah, I actually have, so I have them on. You guys, who anyone saw my Instagram, you see I was sitting in my kitchen. That's what I do on the weekend if I'm working. But I have a monitor on my kitchen table because once you get a big monitor, it's very hard to work on your laptop anymore. So, so I have my monitor and I have my laptop and I have HGTV or Netflix in the background. And then it just doesn't feel like you're working as much when you've got like some chatter in the background, right?
Exactly. That was me. I was working away and I had Netflix playing in the background because why not? It was, I could take a break and look and go, oh, look, they're still crazy or whatever.
Exactly. So what's up? What are you talking about today?
You know what? So a funny thing happened on the way to my LinkedIn challenge. So today is the start of my LinkedIn challenge. So I've been working on it for a while. There's been lots of new changes and updates and stuff like that with LinkedIn. It's coming. Creator mode is coming. LinkedIn Live, for people who are watching us now, you can see that it's different. It shows up at the top of the profile. So there's been lots of changes with LinkedIn. So I thought I'd kick off a new challenge.
Yep.
So yesterday, I sent out an email to my list, just kind of reminding everybody the challenge is starting, sign up, gave them information about, what to expect, blah, 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 blah. But guess what I forgot to put on the email?
The link?
Nope. Check that 16 times.
I don't know.
Because I thought and I'm really good. I put I'm very detail oriented. I put all of the information. I went through everything.
Start date?
Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner. I didn't put the start date on the email.
That's a problem.
Well, yes and no. So here's I just want to have this conversation this morning. So typically what I've done in the past is putting all the information in there. No problem. And they can just click the link and go. Without the start date, guess what happened?
People
I got
emails.
A ton of emails.
Yeah.
Responding with, when does it start?
Yeah.
When does it start? When does it start? But what sparked that was a conversation. So I sent an email back to literally, I got a ton of emails yesterday afternoon. And I was like, why is my inbox like blowing up?
Yeah.
It was like, when does it start? So I would respond back. I started to copy and paste emails. Like, it starts tomorrow, but the videos are available. Like, I just kind of gave them, the videos are available all the time, blah, 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 blah. So I started cutting and pasting that same message back in my email. But then they were responding, which was great. Absolutely. So I ended up connecting with a couple of past clients. I ended up connecting with some people who hadn't emailed me back before, because I always put everything in my emails. So so what do you think? Was that a good, I didn't do it on purpose, but interesting result.
Yeah. And it always does, it does happen when you're, when you make a mistake, people call you on it, and that's great. Because that means they were actually reading your email.
Right. Which I thought was fantastic, but I felt bad, but then I didn't feel bad because I got all these emails and I was able to actually touch base with a lot of people.
And the other cool thing about it too is, we focused on we do monthly challenges. So for those of you guys who are Mastermind City, we do monthly challenges. That's the way that we know you guys will be motivated and continue to go. However, you can do those challenges anytime. So once you go and, join up to do the LinkedIn challenge, even if you don't do it this week, which I always recommend because we're there with you, but even if you don't do it, you can go in next week and do it. So in fact, the challenge is always readily available for anyone. However, a lot of people need to have that definitive date. Why? Because if they don't have a date, they'll keep putting it off, right?
So, well, and I think that's what it was. It was that, well, but when does it start? And you're right. Like, technically it doesn't start. I mean, it starts today. Absolutely. The course is available as of today, and it's a 5-day challenge. So you get it today and then 4 days. But I was just I don't know. Like I said, I'm always putting all the information, but now I'm like, well, and not that I'm going to hold back in the future, but it was such an interesting experience because I missed putting that one piece of information out, and look what ended up happening. So
And it's just like when you reach out to your group, your email list, and you say, hey, can you give me some information on this? Or here's a survey. I usually do it. And I know it's for engagement purposes. People are just trying to engage you, but you do get in as the person who's sending it, you get some really valid information from it. So yeah, sometimes the biggest mistakes end up being the best for you. So I think we have a question, but I can't read it.
Well, the question is from John on LinkedIn.
John,
would you try text instead of email?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Something we're definitely going down the road of. I would much rather, because in my own opinion, for me receiving information, if you send me a text, I'll probably look at it. If you send me an email, meh.
So John, if you're part of our community group, you get messages from us all the time. We are slowly moving to include text messages. The problem is that, most of our lists are very large. And back in the day, which is like 6 months ago, back in the day,
that long ago,
you didn't collect telephone numbers. You only collect emails, right? Because that was just the way things were. And so we don't have everyone's text abilities. So that is coming. That's why we actively put together a community group so that you could know the information in the community group as opposed to getting lost in the emails. I can't even read emails anymore. I'm so inundated. I read them. I go through maybe once a week, and it's going to parlay into what I'm going to talk about later. But they always get lost because it's just too much now. I can't keep on track.
So it also led me to, I was thinking of my own habits, and I was thinking, okay, so if I wanted to know something more about what I was reading in the email, what would I do? Would I respond back like most of the people did yesterday and ask the question? Or would I click on the link? Because if you did click on the link, we had all of it laid out on a web page, a landing page with date, time, all of the information was right there. So I just found that very interesting. Personally, I probably would have clicked on the link, but that's just my own habits because I'm on my phone. I'll just quickly click to see if I can find out the information. But most of the people responded back.
But also what's interesting is when you're in the business, in the, the interweb business, that generally we wouldn't reply to an email because we know that it's coming from an email responder. It's coming from your CRM. And we know that it's not going to normally go directly to you. However, we've made it so that when we send out emails, it will come to us, right? And that's why they got to respond to you. But most of the time you're replying to, info at, and it's just, or some generic autoresponder, do not reply.
Exactly. And you know what? It wasn't, we're actually talking later, Master Monday, about automation at noon. But this wasn't an automated. This was actually an individual email. Yes, it went out to, it was a broadcast in a sense that it went out to my entire list, but it was an individual one-off email. So I did physically write that and they physically responded and then I physically responded back. So it was a relationship building opportunity, which was fantastic. And I loved it. And people were signing up, which was amazing. It was interesting to see the behavior when there's pieces of information left off. Like I said, it wasn't on purpose, but it was interesting. It was an interesting experience to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's great because the people that really were interested got the information and now they're all signed up, right? And they're ready to do it, which is great. I mean, so for me, I'm one of those people that, put something in front of me and say, do this by this date and I'll do it, right? Because you're handing it to me more so, especially when you're doing, if you're going to do a LinkedIn profile, as I mentioned this on my post the other day, most people go, I got to get to it. And they never do it. Right. And it's way more important than most of the other stuff that you do, because the first place people look for you is LinkedIn, if you're a professional. So I think, making it into a challenge and saying, okay, this was in 5 days, we're going to have a rock star, profile up and you're ready to go, is worth the investment in time. So that date is really important. Now, if you're one of those people that, you'll just do it on your own, great, right? If I had the availability, I do all 5 days in a day, right? If I knew it was that important to me.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
but you're right. People do need, this is happening on this day at this time, and you need to be there. They will hold themselves accountable to do that. So it's just, it's interesting as opposed to here's some training, go do it anytime.
Right.
Versus this is the time, this is the date, and it's going to start. So yeah, it was interesting experience yesterday.
That's great.
I got a lot more emails than I normally do on a Sunday.
Well, you know what? It's a great to keep in touch with all your base, and they appreciate the fact that you're talking to them live and in person, as opposed to, a generic autoresponder, we'll get back to you kind of thing. So when you actually answer somebody, they have more, they put more value on what you're putting out, right?
Exactly. So that was my weekend.
My Rick Astley song, Never Gonna Give You Up. So the reason I'm doing that today is because I'm going to talk a little bit about persistence, and and it's because it always happens to me when I'm just, not paying attention. And then the people that are persistent usually get my attention. I've talked about it before, but there's an example, and I alluded to it a couple of weeks ago. So on my LinkedIn emails and my LinkedIn direct messages, I get a lot of requests to speak, and I'm a professional speaker, and I, only usually do, very few gigs. They're usually paid. I don't really accept many. I get asked a lot on podcasts, but for some reason, sometimes something lands in my box and I click on it, and there's no reason. It wasn't a perfect email or anything, but for some reason I click on it. So it said, would you be a speaker in this panel discussion? I had no idea who this person is. And I clicked and I was like, what's this about? I don't know why. It was one of those days. Right. And so he wrote me back and said, this is what it is. It's a panel discussion, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the link, click on it and you'll get the information, whatever. So again, persistence, because he emailed me back 3 times. I normally don't respond to any of them, but I did. He was persistent. And then I clicked and I saw it and I said, that's cool. It sounds interesting. And so I said, and I literally sent him a note saying it sounds interesting. And then I forgot all about it. I literally forgot all about it. Right. And then this morning, I get an email with my picture on it as part of the panel discussion and when it is in the invite. And I was like, completely forgot about it. But again, he was persistent. He took everything as, yeah, no problem, she's in. And so I'm in because my picture's on it. And so I had to quickly put it into my calendar. I don't even know what I'm talking about. And it's only an hour, so it's not a big deal. But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that, when we go back and forth, sometimes for that person, so if you're really trying to get somebody or you're really trying to gain a client, you're really trying to gain momentum, for you, it's really important, right? The person, it's really, really important. The other person, not so much. So they don't really read everything that clearly, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of in passing.
But you can.
Right. So normally what somebody would have done is sent me one. I might have sent what is it about? And then it would have just kind of dropped off because they would have found somebody else and I wouldn't have responded. But this is what happens when you don't give up, right? And, we teach this to salespeople all the time about cold calling, that you just never know when somebody's going to actually say yes. And if you give up after the first one, then it's not going to happen, right? Yeah. It's so many of the people that we know start new programs, they do a live, they do all these things, and like 1 or 2 people show up, so they quit.
Right.
They go, nobody's going to listen. But it literally takes a long, long time. So I don't know how many emails this guy sent out. He might have sent it out to, hundreds of people to try to find 5.
Right. Yeah.
But it is fascinating to me how so many people quit so early on, right? They quit so early on that they never really go all the way to bright, when they know if they just hung in there, they could have got there. So I'm sure it's happened to you too.
Well, where's the line between persistence and annoyance?
Right.
Because I think that is what prevents people from pushing too much. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to make them mad. I don't want to kind of piss them off.
Right.
So where's that line? So you were appreciative of his persistence but you responded back.
I responded back. That was the thing.
That was the key. If you had ignored him, his persistence may have been perceived differently.
Yeah. Well, so I had, there was someone that was trying to pitch me on something that they wanted to sell for a company that I was consulting for. And they kept pitching and pitching and pitching and wanting a call. And then I finally sent back a note and I said, send me a deck. Tell me what this is, how much it costs. And if I'm interested, I'll have a call with you.
Right.
But don't waste my time having a call. If I know nothing, I'm not going to say yes to you. And then guess what happened? He never sent it.
They didn't send it.
No.
Because they don't want to give you, I think that's the challenge. They don't want to give you too much information because they want to jump on the call with you.
Right.
And that's what people in sales and everything are trained. If you can just get them on the phone, you can probably convert them because you can have the conversation. You can, talk to them about any of their rebuttals or challenges or whatever. If you're looking at a deck, you've already made up your mind before the call.
Right.
So it's not the right strategy, but I'm the same way you are though. I would just send me the information. If I look even this much interested, happy to jump on a call, even if it's just curiosity based.
Exactly. So I think that's what, the lesson here is, you have to think about those things as you, when you're pitching and when you're receiving stuff as well. Right. I mean, we have in our Global Impact Accelerator, we have a sales page, outlines absolutely everything there is to know about the program. We don't say, we need a call to sell you. However, at the bottom of the page, it says, If you need more information, you want to book a call, then feel free.
Absolutely.
But our call isn't a pitch. It's literally just to ask you questions, because everyone knows, and I've been training coaches for years. Everyone knows a discovery call can be two things. It can either be coaching somebody and teaching them what you do, or it can be a straight pitch. And most of the time it's a straight pitch. And that's why people avoid calls, because they know it's a pitch and they're going to get no useful information about it. So I don't believe in that. I don't like when I get on a call and all that somebody does is, well, if you sign up, this is what you're going to learn. Not interested. Right.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
Actually, is interesting. I was somebody had contacted me. They wanted some help with LinkedIn. We're talking about LinkedIn Day. Yeah. And she sent me her program, and I looked at it, and it was literally outlined very little. And then it said, if you're interested, jump on a call.
Right.
And I said to her, like, there's no other entry point. And she said, no. And I'm like, then I'm not going to go forward.
No.
Because I don't have enough information to make a decision. And she goes, but I want to get you on the phone. But I don't want to get on the phone because I know all you're going to do is pitch me.
Right.
And I want to be able to make that decision. If I'm interested and I see that it's a value, then I don't mind hopping on the call because I'm already 90% of the way there. Right. But I don't want to get on a call without knowing all the information first.
Right.
So it kind of goes with the same thing. I was confused as to why that strategy was there. I understand, but I don't like it.
Well, and it does. Listen, we're not saying it doesn't work. It does. It does
Absolutely.
work. But I think it's like slimy and scammy. And I would never teach one of my clients to do that, because for me, like, don't get me wrong, I know it works. I guarantee you. I know people that, and I'm not going to name names, but I know coaches that get on these discovery calls and talk people into cashing out 401ks or RSPs so that they can afford their coaching.
Yeah.
Looking at small business loans for like $35,000 so they can afford their coaching. That to me is scammy and slimy. I don't believe in that. I would never tell people to do it. And shame on you if you're one of those people. And I don't care what you say to me about, oh, but they're investing in themselves and it's worth it. It's not, because you're putting a scarcity and so much pressure on that person that they, generally speaking, the ones that I've talked to, do not get anything out of it in the long run, because they went into it with fear. And if you go into something with fear, you're not going to get anything out of it. But in the same thread, I appreciate persistence from people that do something that we know is going to work out for that person, right? And I appreciate people that listen to the cues. So this person who contacted me, I reached back out. It was totally me, right? If I had ignored his email, I would have never heard from him again.
Yeah.
Which is generally 99% of the emails I get in LinkedIn. So I'm not saying now, don't flood my inbox with requests.
But that's what I mean. There's a line there between persistence, because he felt that you were the right person, versus annoyance of trying to sell you something. Right. Because my inbox on LinkedIn, unfortunately, as soon as you click accept my connection, is immediately a sales pitch. And then it's immediately a follow-up of the sales pitch. And, oh, I didn't see, I'd like to get on a call. I'd like to get on a call. I'd like to get on a call. That to me is crossing the line. I don't need 6 messages to get on a call with you, obviously, if I'm not interested.
And especially because we've said this before, they never read your profile. So they're always like asking you for something that you kind of laugh and go, this person obviously has no idea who I am or what I did.
Exactly. But again, he knew you were a speaker. He knew what you spoke about. He positioned it correctly. And again, understanding your client and understanding, again, where that line is with persistence, because I think persistence works. Absolutely. I give him complete kudos.
Yeah.
Continuing down the path without crossing the line. So again, that frequency. And I think that's also what kind of holds people back in social media postings as well, is they go, I don't want to be annoying.
Yeah.
And that really does hold people back from persistence. So there is a line. You just need to find out what your line is.
And saying being annoying is a lot of the times just an excuse because you're afraid to cold call.
Exactly.
So
because if they're going to say no, they're going to say no. They would have said no anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, it's a great lesson for you guys. So if you're, if you are out there and trying to, get somebody or gain a client or have some, some type of footprint in. I mean, listen, I'm doing this next week. So I'm going to post it so you guys can follow.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know when it is so we can watch.
Yeah. So but it works. And it might have, like I said, he might have sent out 1,000 email or 1,000 messages. I don't know. If I get a chance, I'm going to ask him. Yeah. But he might have sent out 1,000 and he got five on the panel, right? So you just never know. So don't give up.
Never gonna give you up.
Never gonna let you down. Yes, we love. And then go listen to some Rick Astley today.
Exactly.